Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Geoff, and alongside me, not as always, but on this show, but on What Went Down, subbing in for Max today is the Magnus to my to my Desmond Wolf. It's it's Craig, everybody, Mr. Impact Blog. What's up, buddy?
No. Hey everyone. I'm not entirely sure how I feel on that one. I think it's going to be something like that. I was kind of thinking like maybe Rob Terry, but
oh,
I don't know why.
There. Magnus is there. Desmond Wolf, Nigel is up there, but so we're pretty much equal, kind of.
Yeah, at least champion.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. You got that on your record. All right, guys. So it's gonna be a little different of a show today. Obviously, Craig is with us instead of Max. Max get well soon. Doesn't watch the show anyway, so it doesn't matter. We can say whatever we want about him. But yeah, so we're gonna do our normal headlines in just a moment. And then instead of Quick 7, we're actually going to skip to a new segment we're going to do. And it won't be every week. We'll be changing it up. But just a little bit of different format since we have What Went Down. And we talk a lot about the ins and outs of Impact Wrestling on that as well. So without any further ado, unless you want to say anything, you want to go straight into headlines?
Yeah, let's get straight to it.
All right, let's get straight into headlines.
Okay, let's get into headlines. Some great questions, and I'm maybe tooting my own horn here, but I'm looking forward to hearing these thoughts. So, starting off with number one, could we see a relationship formed between Impact and ROH, given how EC3 and Alex Shelley are allowed to work for them, or so I've heard? So it's been rumored.
Right. Yeah. I don't think there's a burned bridge anymore between ROH and Impact. I think we were unfortunately in the same boat at different points of our being around our existence. Obviously, Impact is much farther out of that hole and is on a whole new level. ROH is still trying to get there. Nothing against them. I was a big ROH fan when growing up. I went to a lot of the shows. That's how I know some of the wrestlers. So I don't wish bad upon them, and I wish them all the success. But the EC3 thing, I think we'll touch on that with the last question, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll just say this. I don't think there will be a partnership. I think what it comes down to is what we'll talk about later, which is sometimes to get the guys you want in this new modern sport, if you will, or this new modern business model, you're going to have to do things that allow them to be more free. So I don't want to jump too far ahead. I just don't see the point for Impact at this point. And I'm not being spiteful, but, there's a lot of ROH fans and guys who said at the time, I don't see the point of us helping out Impact and doing an interpromotional thing. So I'm not being spiteful, but I don't see the benefit for Impact to do an interpromotional thing. Because at this point, we don't know their roster. Is Marty there? I don't know. Bully's not there. Jay Liesel's there. But are there enough people there, known commodities, to make it worth the while for Impact? Or is the name brand ROH big enough to make it worth it? I just don't see where it helps.
Yeah, I agree with that. Doesn't really do much for Impact. I've only ever seen one ROH show
Ever.
and that was about 6 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So not during their good times.
Yeah.
I mean, with Alex Shelley claiming that he can still work for Ring of Honor, and EC3 rumored to be there from people from different other news sites. when I was writing these questions, and I thought of that one, my thought was, I don't really want to see it. I think there could be some good matches if they did, but it's not really much benefit. Especially with Ring of Honor going through some difficult times right now, particularly with their booking.
Right. Now, if they were to establish themselves again and develop these characters, but that's the thing with ROH. Now, we don't know what the booking will be like, as you're saying. So maybe they come out and they're not just straight wrestling with guys with no gimmicks. They actually do have, they start building characters and building in a different ROH. Will that exclude a lot of their current fans and past fans? Maybe. But unfortunately, I think a lot of them jumped ship already. Now, like I said, I want them to succeed, but once again, I don't see the benefit where it advances Impact talent. And that's the problem is, say you do, in something like this kind of relationship, you would want it to be 50-50, where each guy, each company gets the little rub and everyone's happy. But to do that, Impact guys are going to take losses against non-commodities in ROH talent. And that's no disrespect. It's just they're a bunch of younger guys or indie guys that are growing while Impact has a platform and are creating wrestlers or characters that are evolving into bigger stars. So until ROH is at that point, I just don't see a young guy who's in ROH who isn't known beating a insert person here, a a Willie Mack or a Chris Bay. Why would Impact sacrifice their guys to build a relationship with the company that unfortunately doesn't benefit us currently? So it's hard to reason with that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, if this was 10 years ago, that would have been cool, right? So maybe in 10 years, it depends on where everything's at. I hope ROH rebounds sooner than that. But it is what it is, and I agree with you completely on that. It's just where is the incentive for Impact?
And obviously, Impact's open door policy is infamous in wrestling. They'll work with anyone, but there's no benefit.
Unfortunately, not now. Now, obviously, if the New Japan thing is still through ROH, that triangle, but it just seems ass backwards to form that New Japan relationship, to go through ROH, to go to New Japan. It just doesn't. I'd rather them continue to work on the relationship with New Japan and make that, because invasion angles and stuff are great and fun. I love them if they're done correctly, or the idea of them. But ROH invading Impact doesn't do much, but New Japan and vice versa, that does a lot. So I think that's where we should focus our because you also, what do you want? 3 different brands invading each other? Just one storyline of that works. Too much is too much. So I'd say no, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Plus, you never know if they're going to put another stunt like they did with Enzo and Cass.
That too. Who, obviously I think everyone deserves another chance, but I don't like any hot shot just to get buzz, things like that. It just rubbed me the wrong way as well.
Yeah, it's still Tama Tonga's still pissed off.
Yeah, we don't want to anger them. I'd rather be happy with New Japan than I am with.
Wow. Then headline number 2. What's next for the North?
So we know Ethan Page's contract runs out at the end of the year, and I'm guessing that's where we go with this, especially since they lost to Motor City. So I think there's 2 different things: the North, the characters, and then the North, the human beings. So we'll start with North, the tag team in Impact, the wrestling characters, or just tag team commodity. They are so good that as long as they stay in the scene, I'm okay with it. At the same time, could Ethan or Josh, turn on each other and go to that next level? I believe so. I've said from day one, they just give me this beer money vibe of two guys who are so talented that maybe no one has creatively figured out something for yet. And that wasn't the case in Impact. They kind of came in together-ish, or at least when Ethan Page was getting himself established. But they have that vibe of both of them can be a world champion in Impact. Now, transitioning to Ethan Page maybe leaving or not, I will say that I'd like to think, as an Ethan Page fan and as someone who thinks Julian enjoys TNA as much as he says he does, that winning the Impact World Championship or even the TNA Heavyweight Championship would be something on his bucket list. He's around my age, I think 32, 33. So he has a lot left in the game. The problem I have, and I actually said this to him as well, and I'll say that part in a second. But the problem I have is since day one, when Impact was kind of in the dumps, so to speak, he was liking and retweeting and a lot of things praising AEW. Now, at the time, that was the cool new thing. Do I agree that they've lived up to that hype, or do I believe they live? No, I don't. But that's a personal opinion. There's a lot of avid fans who believe they have. But Ethan Page is an incredible talent. And what I told him, or what I said on Twitter there, and he actually liked it, which means nothing, but it means that perhaps that's the way he's thinking. Because he said he doesn't even know what he's doing. Why are these people telling me what's best for my life? And I said, I think you do know what you're doing. You're building your brand. You're building your body. You're building all these things to when your contract goes up, you can get the best deal for you and your family and take care of your family. And you can't fault him for that. As much as I am an Impact fan and would love him to stay here and fulfill the destiny of being a champion eventually, he's got to do what's best for his family in this weird economic time with everything going on. You got to do what's best. Do I think he goes? Obviously Cody has had a lot of praise for him, which I believe is a little bit of tampering, if I do say so myself. But I'd like to think Ethan or Julian understands that maybe AEW buzz was just that. Maybe I can make more of a pun intended impact and raise my level, fulfill my destiny there, and move on to something else if I choose to it and see where Impact is at that time. But I don't fault him for being interested in a company that has a TNT deal. You're seen by millions, well, not millions of people, actually, 800,000 people compared to who knows with us, maybe 300,000, whatever it is. So I don't blame him. I hope he stays. But as far as the characters, I have no clue. Where would you go from here after losing your titles, losing your rematch? What do you do with them from that standpoint?
That's it. I mean, pretty much from when the North first started teaming together, I think they had their first pay-per-view match at the first Rebellion, and then won the tag titles the day before the next pay-per-view.
Right.
So we haven't really seen what they're capable of without the belts.
Okay.
When they lost them, I was excited to see what they do. But obviously, rumors and surfacing that Ethan Page's contract's running up.
Right.
I'm a huge North fan, and it does worry me that we're going to lose Ethan Page.
Yeah,
it does. I love Ethan Page. He knows exactly what he's doing. Like you said, he knows exactly what he's doing. His merch sells incredibly well, so he's a good businessman.
Yes.
And in the beginning, when he started with Impact, he was very vocal about the things he didn't like, which also was part of the reason that the people involved in the Brian Cage wedding got a raise. So Ethan and Josh, for sure, future world champions. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, can I see Ethan being a world champion in Impact. Josh, for definite. I think he's there for a while.
Oh, you can't see. Sorry to interrupt. You can't see Ethan as a champion.
Not an Impact.
Okay, why is that? Specifically, like, is it him, the character, him, or is it just?
I think it's this situation. If he's going, which I've got this gut feeling that he probably will be on his way out.
You mean always in the short time frame?
Yeah, he's.
Oh, okay.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for him in Impact because he's heading out. I've just had bad gut feeling that he's on his way out.
Yeah, it's hard for me because on one side, you say maybe he hasn't made up his mind. Maybe months ago, before when Impact was where it is, and he's being what is it? My brain is mush. Where he's being critical. There we go. Being critical of Impact, and Impact wasn't on the best terms. We were losing people and whatever. AEW was rising. Could you say then? I would say 100% he was going. Cody was talking about him. He doesn't have Impact on his page. He doesn't mention Impact on his bio. But a lot of them don't. Now, is that something that I would prefer my talent to do? Yeah, I would like them to be embrace that they are part of Impact. Well, he just changed his video blog to no longer say Impact as well. So we can speculate and guess all we want. If I were to give odds, I'd like to think it's 50-50 at this moment. But once again, we only know what's on the surface, We know from what we want him to do. We don't know what's better for him to do because we don't know him or know the situation or the numbers and whatever. If they have money to bring in the Good Brothers, do they have money to pay up for Ethan Page? Yeah. But he would be the first talent since this, or to me, in this regime that they're going to have to make that choice of, do we invest in our homegrown talent, if you want to consider him that? I think it shows the roster and the fans a lot if they retain Ethan Page. Now, I know it sounds silly. It's like, okay, he was a tag team champion. He's not this level or whatever. But he will be. And the point of me saying that is it's been so long where Impact has had a guy for a 2-year run. They leave after their run, and Impact is just waiting for that big name to whatever, to spend the money on the right people or whatever was the narrative there. So I'm going to say 50-50 right now. Like you said, he knows exactly what he's doing. He is building his brand, building his go to free agency. The only thing that concerns me was the January 2021 post. Now, is that to say, yes, I'm getting ready for something big, or is it to say, hey, I'm getting ready to get paid big? Either way, I hope he stays with Impact. He's done a lot for the company in the sense of not only critiquing, but finding the TNA stuff is him. I mean, from what we know and from what is all intents and purposes, he's the one that's pushed it. Not a single, Moose was against TNA. Eddie Edwards was against TNA. All of these talent were against TNA. And what in a time that was so bleak was such a bright spot was that TNA Homecoming. Everyone was stoked about it. It was the most liked and retweeted stuff until now that we're on a trend, positive trend. So I could talk about this all day, but I won't. I'll just say 50-50. I want to know where your odds are. I know obviously you believe he's definitely going. I just don't think that AEW would take care of him the way Impact could. Not financially necessarily, but creatively.
Yeah, I've thought about this one quite a lot, and because I don't know, I imagine, I can't confirm, but I imagine his deal compared to the Good Brothers deal is significantly lower.
Oh,
and
yes.
how he is about obviously how he is about his money and how he's treated, I can't imagine him being too happy with how much the Good Brothers are earning over him. Obviously, it's understandable because of it's the Good Brothers.
Well, also, but time. You also got to think about that. I mean, the time he came in, his contract he signed was a victim of circumstance. Hey, we'll give you a deal, you prove yourself, and then we'll talk about it when your contract runs up. Now that we are on that next level, in my opinion, do they have the money to pay him like the Good Brothers? Yes. Does he deserve money as much as the Good Brothers? That's the question. Do you make an investment in your talent to show the rest of the roster that you're ready to repay or reward the people who busted their ass for you to get you to the point you are? That's going to be the big thing here. Same with Sami Callihan. He only has a year left or whatever, less than a year. These are the people you need to pay instead of let them run out and die and kill their brand just because they're going to leave. So I don't think he'll take into consideration of what he was getting paid then to compare now. I think to now is the main point of this. Let me get my paycheck now. I'm in my prime, and I can't blame him for that. Does he get Good Brother money? I don't know. We'll see. I think that's going to play out as we go. At the same time, you got to remember he was friends with Cross. And Cross's big thing was, you lied to me and said you don't have the money that I'm asking for, but you do have the money that or ability to give me what I want. So does that play in the back of his head, or is he the businessman we think he is, and he says, oh, I don't give a shit about what happened in the past. I want now. And we'll see.
But the odds, I'm going 70-30 he goes. So, headline number 3. With AEW letting in fans again and WWE introducing the Thunderdome, should Impact look into reintroducing fans to shows?
Well, if it's like Thunderdome, no. I'd like to think our people that pay to be in Thunderdome or whatever you do would not fall asleep during it, like that gentleman did. But
Classy.
Oh, two? That's rough. And the reason I say no to that is, even though I think people would stay awake for it, you don't want to take that chance for that to be the focus of what you just did. Because Thunderdome is an original good idea that WWE came up with. We have to give them credit on that. But they don't have the I don't want to say weeble wobble. I can't think of the very shaky. There we go. The very shaky. The cat's destroying my set again, of course. The very shaky history that Impact has had, recent history of, little things, the internet blowing up and making bigger deals and all of that. So do we want to open it to that possibility? No, I don't want fans to all over the world to sit in front of a computer at whatever time of night and take the chance of falling asleep, pick their nose, whip out their junk. Who knows what they could do? Yeah, of course, there's someone moderating it, but it's still, once it's there and once it's live, it's there forever. You can't escape. A few seconds is a few seconds that you could screenshot and say, oh, these motherfuckers were falling asleep during Impact. We don't need that. Now, as fans go, I don't think you need to take the chance on that as well, because you have to remember, a lot of fans were still going to Impact even during the rough times. Not a lot in the sense of thousands, but people would go and take pictures and say, well, look how small the crowd is. These are people paying to go to an Impact show just to rag on the show. Trust me, I went to Bound for Glory and sat next to this fucking asshole, excuse my language, who just ragged on it the whole time. And then when something was really good, it was like, oh, okay, well, that was good. That was good. And I was like, shut up, dude. Why would you pay the money to come here? And the reason is they can't think for themselves. I don't want anyone who has that mindset to come to a small show and hijack it or take the chance of doing that. Do I think Impact's in a much better place? Yes. But how do you guarantee that you're selling to the fans that want to see Impact? Now, remember, we've always speculated that AEW fans buy it and then scalp tickets, right? Well, it came out that happened. this recent time. We don't want that. Not that I think people will be scalping the tickets, but I want to ensure that Impact fans are the ones that get to see it. And what do you do? Make them take a test? What do you do to ensure that? It would be difficult. So I also have to say, I know it sounds stupid, but I almost prefer there being no fans. Because once again, you're not relying on the sheepless thought of, oh, they're clapping, I must clap too, as a fan watching it. Or they're not cheering, this must be shit. Because look at the Impact Zone. Grade A example of fans that were there for whatever reason, just so they could be on camera or whatever, and just stood there and talked about it, or did nothing.
Yeah.
I don't revert to that, because when it comes down to it, Max and I talk about it all the time, you strip away the big audience, the big arenas, all of that stuff. Impact, pound for pound, minute for minute, is the best written show on for wrestling. That's my opinion, but I think it's the general consensus to a lot of people that know and can block out all the other noise.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a benefit to it, because it's not like you could say, oh, look how many tickets we sold. What, 100? Because you're not allowed to have more than 100 people there. It's just such a weird dynamic in such a weird time that I don't think it adds anything to the presentation to have 20, 50, 100 fans in the crowd. Does it make it better for you? Or
Honestly, and this is me being brutally honest, no. Because the Vegas crowd and the Atlanta crowd, they were so quiet. I get it, it's like maybe halfway through a taping or whatever, and they just... I know Impact just throw in matches from certain tapings for a show.
Right.
But it was so quiet. Why go if you're not going to make any noise?
Yeah.
Just sit at home and watch it on TV and let people who want to go make noise go. So, no, I think it's Thunderdome. I said, I'm so glad Impact are not doing this, because if anything went wrong, they would get destroyed for it.
Great minds, yes, yeah.
Letting in fans is, honestly, it's stupid right now. It may be getting better, but it's not gone. It's far from over.
Yeah.
And especially in Florida, from what I've seen, it's one of the worst hit states. So it makes no sense.
It doesn't. In a time, not only from I didn't mention that, from the health point standards, wonder if you do all the testing and yet someone still gets sick. It's not worth it. The repercussions are not worth the benefit of say 100 crowd is what you're allowed. Okay, say they pay only $20. Okay, so what do you make off of that? $2,000. Is that $2,000 really benefiting your company enough to possibly deal with the backlash from it? It's not. And to your point, yeah, those Atlanta crowds and all them did pay to go there, and they were packed. But after a certain amount of time, yes, they do get tired at the taping. What I would prefer to see, and I know that we would get stuff for it too, but I don't give a shit. We're watching a television show. Let's remind ourselves that presentation is everything. So when those crowds don't clap, like I said, people assume the product is not good, but the product is good, and yet they don't clap. And I don't think that's a sign of anything. If you listen to WWE shows, you listen to AEW, they might be packed to the rafters. The crowd isn't going crazy the whole time. There's just loud enough people that are, right? So I think you need a big mass group to cover for the fact that there will be some boring assholes or they're tweeting what happens compared to watching the actual event. So I see no benefit of it. I actually liked the studio show that they did that a while back when Rhino first came. Like, it was very, like, the crowd was into it because it was a small crowd, kind of like NWA setup. But I also liked when they paid for people to watch in India. I don't care. You give someone $5 to come watch your show and be an audience member that claps, it adds to the production and the presentation of it. Because if I'm an average fan flipping through and never seen Impact, and I stop and I see a bunch of people just staring at the camera while great shit's happening in the ring, I'd keep flipping. So I don't think there's more backlash and repercussions that can happen than benefits of it, and I think that's where we're both at with that. So,
so no fans right now.
No, I agree.
Then moving on to number 4. This is a good one.
Okay.
Should Impact allow talent to shoot on WWE, given how WWE fans reacted to Brian Myers?
So now, when I knew this question was coming up, I don't have it in front of me now, but I had read the rundown a couple days ago, or whenever you said it. I was like, oh man, I'm glad I'm talking about this with Max, because when we do what went down for Emergence altogether, I'm going to go on a tirade. So I'm going to save my tirade for this. No, stop doing it. I know I wrote personally from our account too, on the Impact clip of it. I wrote it, and every person that I've seen applaud it. I don't want it, because what I saw, someone wrote a tweet, and it's 100% correct. The ex-WWE guy who got fired, who wants to prove himself in Impact and screw it, WWE, that character is a staple of Impact since day one. I don't want it anymore. Okay, we're in a different era, in a different time. Everyone knows Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon. We get it. We get it, he's out of touch. We get he's a 70-year-old man. Dude, at the end of the day, what that does, when you say, what has it gotten me? I'm a team player. What has it gotten me? Well, it's gotten you to Impact, idiot. And that shouldn't be a consolation prize. I don't want you to degrade yourself or the company by saying I couldn't make it in another company. Maybe you just aren't. I mean, Seth Rollins, who else has broken through? Name all the people. Bray Wyatt. Name these people that have broken through. So what you're saying is these people have broke through the old ideas of WWE and the old talent that they keep bringing back to still be main eventers. The fact that you can't do it, yes, is one man's opinion. But at this point, your job shouldn't be to shit on that company and say, I didn't get a chance. It should be to put up or shut up and prove the best thing you could do. And that's why I don't mind Heath now as much as I dislike Brian Myers. And the Heath thing is because Heath didn't come in and say, oh man, I'm a reject the WWE and screw Vince McMahon. He came in and did his own thing. I'm here to prove the fact that I am a good talent. That's it. That I am a good hand. That's it. Not, woe is me. You're supposed to be the most professional wrestler. I don't know if that's supposed to be hypocritical or, ironic or whatever it may be, but you spend your most professional interview shitting on another company. That's not professional to me. A professional goes out there, and maybe that's the gimmick, and I'm just stupid. And it's what, hasn't unfolded yet. But when you do that, and Eric Young is doing that kind of mentioned, oh, now I could be myself. Okay, we got it, brother. EC3 is kind of doing that. I could write my own narrative. I don't give a shit. I don't watch WWE most of the time because I don't watch WWE anymore because it lost my interest. Do I keep up on it? Sure, I do. I don't want them to fail. I grew up with WWE. But I don't want to hear about it because I don't know what you did there. Because to me, you're no longer Kurt Hawkins. To me, you are Brian Myers, and I care what Brian Myers can bring to the plate. And now that's just not, I don't mean to shoot on Brian Myers or shoot, whatever, or shoot on his, or shit on his shoot. I just want him to show me what Brian Myers is. And I think that's a fair request out of a talent that's coming over. All right. Your platform, sir.
See, what you just said there, that basically treating Impact like it's a consolation prize, it's like it's a step down from. I honestly didn't give that much thought to that until literally just said it. After I watched Impact, I tweeted about it because I saw all of the WWE fans complaining, and my thing was WWE fans shit on Vince McMahon all the time. They say he's out of touch. They say the exact same thing. But when someone outside who's lived through it, who's been on the receiving end of Vince McMahon's crap, should be allowed to be pissed off, and they're taking that away from him. Maybe he shouldn't do it on Impact show, but see, I don't mind them.
I'll let you keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to, before I forget it. You're right. If you do it outside in an interview, you want to do it for a shoot interview and you get paid for it, or high spots or whatever the hell, go do it. But not on the show. I agree with that completely.
Yeah. But I mean, I just think I do like those little digs occasionally. I don't like them constantly. It's just like a little, like with Josh saying that he's the former 24/7 champion, whatever the hell that is. I like that. That was just like a cute little, yeah, you can blow past. I agree. I want Brian Myers to be Brian Myers, not Kurt Hawkins being pissed off that he has to be Brian Myers.
Right. Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. And, it's funny, like you mentioned, I'm glad you did. When TNA used to make the digs all the time, and I obviously at day one, or I've watched since day one, they used to do it a lot. A lot of parodies, a lot of things like that. So let me make that clear. I hated it a couple years into that, let alone 18 years. With the WWE fans, yes, they're hypocrites. They're saying the same thing about their company. But if someone else says it, I get that. But I think we're all kind of like that. We're prideful of it. You can't say it because you don't watch it. You're just being hateful. We're saying it because we watch it. It sucks.
We can say you can't.
Right. Whatever. Sure. Okay. Here's the thing. I'll say it when Impact does it, it's shit. I'll say when WWE does it, it's shit. And I'll say, especially when AEW does it with the Brody Lee crap, it is shit. I don't care. Yes, it exists. Chris Jericho goes, well, another company exists. Should we ignore it? Yeah. I don't watch, on Seinfeld, do you think they were shitting on Friends? No, they weren't talking about Friends, the show on Seinfeld. Or insert show here. You think Brooklyn Nine-Nine is shooting on The Good Place? No, they don't give a fuck. You stay in your lane. Just because it makes the wrestling world so small and so minute when you do stuff like that. What gain does it give us? Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite in the sense I liked when Kurt Angle said I heard TNA is hiring. Yeah, it was a dig, but that was a clever dig. It wasn't TNA sucks. They held me down. You go there because they suck. They didn't do that, man. And I agree with you. I didn't like the 24/7 one because it felt like more submissive than clever, I guess, in a way. Because he was just, whatever that freaking thing is. But I get what you're saying as far as little digs implemented here and there. Little jokes implemented in there, just like the Kurt Angle TNA thing. I'm okay with that. But the same narrative of 70-year-old man back holding me down, bro, just let it be. Be yourself. Impact is not a consolation prize. And anytime you mention that, not on the same level as Impact, like, oh, WWE, I was only this. Okay, well, if you are a superstar here, then that makes that talent and company look twice as good as us. Because you couldn't beat any of them, even though it's fake, we get it. But you're going to beat Willie Mack and punk him out. It's just such a slippery slope that I don't want to go down. And I say the same thing all the time because it really resonated with me when I heard this, what Mick Foley said. He said in interviews and in promos, you never beat down your opponent to say he's nothing. You always build him up. Because if that nothing beats you, you're now nothing. And if you beat that nothing, it doesn't matter. So, because he's a nothing and you should have beat him. So what they should say is, like Eric Young is doing, I'm here to prove myself. He mentioned a little bit in the beginning, but now he's like, I'm here, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing. He's not saying because I couldn't succeed there, maybe in interviews outside of it, but not on the show. It just gives me a bad taste in my mouth that I want nothing to do with. And once again, just like we were talking about with the fans, there is no benefit of taking that risk of getting backlash from WWE fans or AEW fans or whatever when you dig at them. So it's not worth it. And the only way for Impact to get more fans, I believe wholeheartedly, is to play nice with the wrestling community. That's why every time I see an Impact fan shit on WWE or get in a fight with it, obviously we had a friend here that did that quite a bit, and I always try to put a kibosh on it. And transparently, that's because the more you rile up them other fans and take it, they're going to find stuff on us. Let's just let it be, encourage everyone to love what they want, and maybe convert some of those WWE fans to also liking Impact. And you're not going to do it by shitting on something they like. It's just not going to happen. People have different tastes, and for me, this one left a horrible taste in my mouth. I don't like it. Don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, we all know Vince is out of his damn mind, but you can be pissed off. Just keep it away from the company you're working for.
Right. Don't make us look bad in the process.
Yeah. Then, fifth and final headline. Are per date contracts a good thing, or should Impact sign talent to a slightly more permanent deal?
Okay, so this is what I alluded to earlier. Here's the double-edged sword of it, right? Do we have first dibs on EC3 because of these kind of things? Yeah. Do we have first dibs on Deanna because of these things? Yes. Does AEW have first dibs on Matt Cardona because of these things? Yes. For better or worse, depending on how you like those people, it's worth it to you if they film enough to make it worth it to you. Or to invest in them, but not too much. The problem is I like to invest in the people on my show. So when I see these 2-year contracts, or the Lucha Brothers, or whoever had walked through Impact, and they got them because they allowed them to wrestle elsewhere, or give them a lax contract just to get that rub off of those guys. Impact is in a position now where I don't think they need that rub anymore. To only sign people for per date things and then let them go elsewhere once they get what they need out of Impact, or fulfill their contract with Impact. I like to invest in Deanna more than I am if she was signed. I would agree that you would too. If you knew she was signed to a multi-year deal, her getting that title is like, oh shit, okay, she's here to play. She's going to be a prominent foundation member for years to come. But we're not getting that. So yes, are we getting the jump on people because we're creatively creating these contracts that allow people to go elsewhere to also wrestle for us for a few dates and then go? Yeah, but I in the grand scheme of things now, I think because we have the Good Brothers and Eric Young locked in, it's better. Now, obviously EC3 has the ability to wrestle for ROH. And if his videos are any inkling of what he's going to do, he's going to AEW after that, because his narrative is, there's multiple narratives to fight or to change or to rewrite, and I think he's going to hit all the places he mentioned. But to me, I don't like that, because although yes, we're really Frank. Sorry. I'm gonna cry. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold it until this last one ends. I'll let you take over on that while I readjust this. But I'll just say that I think it's a very fine line between getting what you need out of them and gambling on yourself to know that once you show them what you guys will let them do, that they'll re-sign with you as a what is that called, a permanent talent, or a exclusive talent.
Yeah. See, my feelings towards per date contracts are that I'm fine with them, but I'm wary if you put the belt on them.
Okay.
Like on it, 'cause I remember seeing a tweet just before Bound for Glory. She said that her goals were to get an Impact contract, then be Knockouts champion. She's got the championship first.
Right.
But from what I've seen, she isn't allowed to take it home. But
She's gonna run with it.
yeah,
It.
this whole per date thing, I can understand why they've done it. So if it's almost like Impact is saying, we trust you enough that you'll make yourself available for us when we need you.
Right.
And it can go and work where you want to work.
Right.
But I don't necessarily like them. Purely for the fact they're not. If you get invested in them, then they go. It's like Tennille, when she was announced, it felt pretty big.
Right.
But I think the last time we saw her was just before.
It was a weird
in the New York when ODB's return. Before Hard to Kill.
Yeah. It was with her. I think it's a different circumstance in the sense, obviously lives in Australia. I don't believe she has dual citizenship. So when this COVID shit hit, it did what it did. But there were some weird giving her a push, then not, then giving her a push, then not. So I see what you're saying there. But I think there's other circumstances, and I'm pretty sure she returned at this set of tapings. Spoiler alert. But it's. I'm not a fan of the same character being on multiple different shows. It's just not it's not what I'm used to, so maybe that's that. But it's just like basketball nowadays or any sport where because the player is now a brand or the wrestler is now a brand, they are in control of their narrative, right? They can choose where they where they want to sign, when they want to sign, for how long they want to sign, because if we don't give them that contract, someone else will. Now, is that the future? Is that where we're headed? I think just like in sports, things are changing a little to circumnavigate around that, so they could keep their big players. And I think wrestling will change in time as well. So we'll find a healthy balance with it. But right now, the wrestlers are in charge. They control where they want to go. They control how long for. And even the 2-year thing gets me because it's like, okay, well, we got this year, and then just like Eli, that whole last year we're going to shit on you, so you're not as valuable as you were when you go elsewhere, but you're not as valuable to our viewers as well. And I don't like that. It's just a weird dynamic. And you obviously on the show a lot, you've given us the question about champions, giving the champion giving the person a championship, and then they leave right after, like a goodbye. Thank you. Here you go for your. But what does that do for us? What it does is it continues a narrative of Impact can't keep their people. We are second rate. People use us to be our champion, and then they go elsewhere. I don't want to be that company anymore. And I think, just like I said with the Ethan Page thing, it is put up or shut up time for now for Impact to show the wrestling world and the wrestling community and the wrestling fans that they're here to play. And to do that, you need to start throwing some money at your homegrown talent so those people stay. Now, people bring up the point of WCW when that was around, ECW, WWF, people switching shows and That's not the case. I grew up during that era. Yes, did people's contracts run up and they go elsewhere? That is correct. Did people get cut and they go elsewhere? That is correct. But no one in that time was signing 5-day contracts or 2-year contracts and booking it as soon as they won the championship. This is unheard of time. We're getting back to the territory times, but we have a bigger outreach. In the territory times, you could do it because the people in Texas really didn't know what was going on in New York. It was total different worlds. The world is so small now, is so connected that at this point, to me, it looks more second rate than it does any good. But I would love to hear other people's opinions. Please, please reach out to us and let us know what you feel about that, because maybe, I'm just too old school. Obviously, you're almost a decade younger than I. But does that feel like it to you as well? Or am I just being...
Yeah, it does. It's one of these things that I've never liked, because there's no need for it. If you can, I get it with, for instance, with Kimberly. She came in, wasn't necessarily contracted, but was given a few dates and paid for those few dates. And then they signed her when they felt they seen enough. She was good enough. So, and only per date contracts. No, there's no need giving someone on a per date contract a belt to say thank you.
And maybe that's not it. Maybe that was, and I think the reason I hope to think that's the reason they give them the belts is because if not, that means Impact management is ignorant enough to think if we give you a belt, you're going to sign a contract. And I don't think that's the case. Or as an incentive, like, oh, we gave you the belt. No, I don't think that was what it is. I just think we're in a different place in time to where Impact should now nut up and lock up your contracts. Am I okay with the Kimberly thing or the Chris Bay thing where they worked a few dates and then they were like, okay, let's work out a full time. We've seen enough. We think you're legit. I'm okay with that because that's normal. I'm okay with Ethan Page weighing out his options because his contract went up, and that's normal. But to say, hey, we're going to build you up on these 10 dates, and then you just say, deuces, I don't like that. It's not worth it to me. I'd rather not have these people at all than to get invested in them for a short period and then they leave me. I'm not about that, but to each their own. Like I said, if you guys have any things you want to mention about this, right on either of us. I'm having a Craig moment. Write us, tell us about it, and let us know, because we're all down to hear different sides of the story. We're all different. We all think different ways. I want to hear them. But with that being said, that's what the next segment actually is going to be about. A little more of where our heads are at. It's going to be called, we'll call it High School Yearbook Superlatives. You've seen on other shows. We're going to do it. Nothing fancy. We're going to try it out, see if you guys like it. It won't be a weekly thing or per episode, but just another new thing to add to our repertoire. But coming up right now is actually a sneak peek at an announcement, I guess, technically, of what our next show is going to be. A new entity for the TNAIW channel. Give it a look. I'm going to fix this camera and go lock up my cat. And we'll be right back after the break.
Number 1 is the box itself. It is 10.5 inches in length, 10.5 inches in width, and only 2.5 inches in height. Yet, still a good-sized box. Clue number 2 are the creation details. In 2008, TNA Entertainment LLC partnered with game development company LTD, also known as GDC, out of Toronto, ONT. Although, like everything else, it was made in China. Any guesses? Can you feel the impact? Clue number 3 is that it features unlimited gameplay for 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up. So all you lonely 9-year-olds can off.
All right, welcome back, guys. So you just saw a little intro of what will be a new show coming to our channel here. It's going to be fun. Stay tuned. It should be coming out at the end of the month. I know we promised a lot of things and they kind of go to the wayside, but with the draft especially. But that'll be a thing we address in just not this moment, but a future moment. The unboxing is definitely coming by the end of the month. It's a really cool item that I know Craig said he's never seen it before. So stay tuned for that. I think you guys will enjoy it. So now we're going to do high school yearbook superlatives. And what that is we wrote down 11 different most likely to, or best this or best that. And Craig's going to pick a number 1 through 11. We're going to hit as many as we can, both of us, before our time here runs up. So we hope you enjoy it, and we'd like to hear your answers on this as well. And thank you to Kurt Angle, who literally just liked one of our tweets while we're doing this. So, Kurt Angle, yay! Come back. It's real. Oh man. Ironic that I mentioned Kurt Angle, and That's really cool. The world's worst in mysterious ways. All right, Craig. 1 through 11, my friend.
Okay, let's go number 8.
Number 8. Okay, this one's really simple, but out of the current Impact roster, who's on their roster page, who is the most athletic?
Most athletic. I have to go with Chris Bay.
That's where my head was. Yeah, that's where my head was at too. You know what's funny is I can't, like, when I read that out loud, my first thought was that, and I was like, okay, think of something else, because you said it right away, and I was like, who else could you really? I mean, obviously, there's people like, you know, TJP and stuff that could do some things, but just the fluidness of what Bay does just feels very athletic to me. Like, I don't know if there's anyone else. Well, maybe Dez.
Yeah.
Dez is pretty up there in athletic, but you're gonna say Bay.
Yeah, Chris Bay. Obviously, there's Rich Swan as well. He's Rich
Who was it?
Rich Swan.
Oh yeah, Rich Swan.
Yeah, as well.
Okay.
There's more than a few.
But you're gonna lock in Bay.
Yeah, Chris Bay.
I'll go with Bay as well. We'll see what you guys think. So we're gonna use this and put it out and see if you guys agree. We'll put this on Twitter and let you guys decide. You guys have been very interactive, by the way, so thank you for that. It's been awesome. All right, so you got 10 left. Next number, sir.
Let's go for number 2.
Number 2. Okay, most likely to become a Hollywood star. So to be not the next Rock per se, but to actually have a successful career in Hollywood.
See, that's tough. I think I'm going for the entire roster. And who springs out to me is great at talking. This is great at, obviously, the action part. I mean, and who's funny? It's one of those things.
I'll tell you mine. My first instinct, because I literally have not thought of these before. I copied down a bunch of superlatives and we're going at random. The first thought, and that's what I'm going to go with, is Ethan Page. And for a few reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean he has to be an action star, right? It just means that he's in Hollywood of some sort, shows, reality, whatever it may be. I just think overall, between his ability to create video editing, all of that stuff that he does outside of Impact or with Impact friends, and then his comedic and ability to deliver, that timing is just really good. So I think he can not only write his own stuff and deliver his own stuff, he could do it with a believability that is needed when you watch a movie or something of that nature. So that's what I'm going to stick with, because I'm going to go with my first gut instinct. But it's a hard one, because you got to think of who breaks, that's on the current roster, that breaks and transcends to different formats. So you think? Where do you go?
My first thought was Sami Callihan.
Okay.
Especially on his Twitch stream, he really shows himself.
Right.
So, but now I'm going to swing to more towards Ethan Page, because everything you just said.
So we're 2 for 2. We'll agree on both so far?
Yeah, Ethan Page. Time.
Maybe we'll get to all 11. What's your next one there?
Let's go for number 5.
Number 5. Okay. Most likely to retire in Impact. And not Rich Swan storyline retire. Like, retire. They retire there. And they have to be on the current roster.
Instantly, Eddie Edwards.
That's my go as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my go. It's you could make a play for a lot of people. Obviously, we can't predict the future. If Moose is content there, maybe. So I could see a play for him. If this was Sammy a year ago and he was Mr. Everything that I hope he gets back to, I could see Sammy as well. But then all the stuff with his friends and it just seems like he's in a weird place right now. As far as in Impact.
Yeah.
So I think Eddie is the safe bet there. If I had to choose someone else like that, I can honestly see, no one's really up there in age too much, but Ken Shamrock maybe. But I want to think of someone consistently that's growing there, not just on the twilight of their career. Yeah, I think it's them, or it's Eddie. Yeah, I think it's Eddie. We'll see. Let's see what else.
Can really picture him.
All right, so you got 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11 left.
Let's go 7.
Okay. This one is Class Clown. Who to you is the funniest person in Impact?
Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
Bravo.
Wow, okay. He actually, to me, he has his moments, but sometimes I feel like they're forced a little bit. I like what he's doing now. When he's naturally on the ring side, he's pretty funny, and he does his own thing, and that's what I like when it's more organic. I think he's funny. But I'm gonna go Johnny Swinger because I could watch. You could put Ethan Page, you could put a bunch of funny people in here, but just watching that character continuously and laughing, he's the one that I could do. He's the one that I could watch a 30-minute show and just be like, what is going on here? This guy it's me, no matter what he says. So for me, it's Johnny Swinger, and I'm locked in on that, but you're going Bravo. So 2 Johnnies. Johnny
Yeah.
E.
Yeah. I mean, it's too obvious to go for Crazy Steve. It's far too obvious, even though he has really been funny lately.
Okay. So next up, my friends, 1, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10, 11.
Let's go for 11.
This is a weird one, the oddest one of them all to me. Because how do you most likely to become a superhero? They don't have to have powers, but we'll go out and become a crime fighter.
Oh,
That's a weird.
I can think of plenty of villains, but
Well, I think the easiest answer would be Eric Young. He'd be Super Eric. But in real life, let's talk real life.
Clean cut hero.
Well, no, not necessarily. They could just be someone in modern day that is a vigilante or crime fighters, right? We could look at it that way, a superhero in that way, right? Or are we looking at Hollywood standards of Marvel and that kind of stuff?
I mean, there's the literal Avengers, so.
Right.
I think Moose, but it'd be more like Iron Man.
Okay. If this was real, I would go Josh Alexander because I could see Josh Alexander is a Batman type dude who goes out and just messes people up. He seems legit to me. Out of anyone there that just I take for their word that I shouldn't mess with them, Josh Alexander is not someone I'd like to cross. I just have this vibe that he would mess my day up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Alexander, and you're gonna go with what you're locking in.
I'll go with Moose, so people don't think we've planned this.
Okay.
I nearly went Josh Alexander when you said it, but
What's that?
I nearly went for Josh when you said it, but I don't want people to think we planned it out. I want to say Moose.
Lock it in. All right, so we got only 6 more. We got 1, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10.
So number 10. 10.
I don't know why I wrote it like this, but most likely to never age. What I'm guessing that means is they'll look like the same that they do now in the future, or can pass off as so.
Rhino. Rhino hasn't aged.
He hasn't here, but if you go back and watch when he was in Impact,
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. He has not. He's what, 40s, high 40s, mid 40s,
Around there, yeah.
You know, Shamrock, you could tell has aged, but he's in good shape. But I'm thinking of someone now that will continuously look like what they look now. Just for the pure fact of, I was watching Impact and talking to Max at the same time this previous week during Emergence. I'm gonna say Alicia, and I know that's weird because whatever, but Alicia to me, so he goes, oh, I don't know how he didn't recognize Lish, but he was like, wait, who's that? And Wrestle House. I was like, Lish, what are you talking about? He's like, oh man, she looks totally different. Okay, whatever. I was like, and he goes, wow, Eddie Edwards has a young wife or something like that. I was like, yeah, I think she's only like 22 or something, 23. I don't know. She's 31 years old or something like that. Not to give away her. I did not know she was near. Yeah. So to me, I'm going to go with her because God bless her. She still looks young as hell. But that could, even though Madison looks different than she looks, she's more beautiful. I don't know. I just think
that Rohit Raju is another one I think would look similar. He's deceptively old.
How old is he?
I think he looks like 29, but I think he's about mid to late 30s.
Get the hell out of here.
I know Ethan Page calls him an old man.
Wow. Ethan Page is, he's my age, I think. I know Shelley and Sabin. Oh, you know what? That's another one. I'm not inconclusive here. I don't know who it is, but Shelley does not age. Shelley looks the same from then to now. Like, you would never know. So I'm gonna go between Lish and Shelley. I'm not gonna even be fair here and pick one because I don't give a shit. I'm gonna say both of them, a guy and a girl. That's what I'm gonna go with. Who's your locked in?
I'm sticking with Rhino.
Rhino, that's good.
Exactly the same to me.
Okay, cool. All right. So next up, we have 1, 3, 4, 6, and 9.
Go for number 9. Go in some sort of order.
Okay, so this one is in. If it was in high school terms, it'd be from. I don't know what you guys. Excuse my ignorance, but here it's usually 9 through 12 is high school grades. So from 9th grade to 12th grade, who was the most changed person? So we're going to do that from the perspective of who has changed the most from day one in Impact to where they are now. Maybe change your... What's that?
The current roster.
Current roster.
Okay, instantly Dez.
Really?
Yes. He came in, he didn't really say much, just a great athletic exhibition guy. Then when the rest of the Rascals came in, completely changed.
That's a good one. I like that. I didn't even think about that one. Let me write that down, but you're locking that in?
Yeah, it does.
See, Sammy continuously changes, but in a positive to where it's flawless. You don't really see the giant change. He didn't need to change. He just, it's evolution of Sammy. So I think Eddie is a good one because he was clean cut Eddie Edwards into me, and I love Eddie, but rather white bread Eddie Edwards to what he is now. It's been good improvements. Moose is another one to go from, just ROH Moose guy to now he's football player. He's done a great transformation to his character. Music, lighting, everything. He's that, I used to be in the NFL. Compared to where he used to be a side note, they made it to seem like he was this wonderful superstar. And he's got all this money, which I totally dig for him. But there's one more. And I think I'm losing it. Huh. Who has changed completely since they began? Yeah, I guess it would have to be. Maybe EC3 now that he's changed pretty, but he's still. I mean, he's not Dixie's whatever, but
he's literally had like 3 changes from twice in Impact, and then obviously the same in WWE. Then back
I know I
in
was
Impact.
age because he was whatever Park. And now he's so I think that I can't decide on that one because I think there's been so many positive changes from day one to where they are, character development with Impact, that it's hard to figure that out. But Taya, she's changed quite drastically each time. So there's a lot of people there. I want to hear everyone else's opinion because I think that's just basically a point of view. Still, are you just going to go down 6 lower?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So number 6 is most likely to end up in the Impact Hall of Fame first. So which one of these on the roster will end up in the Impact Hall of Fame first?
And the first, so that's a tough one. I think there aren't a lot on there. Maybe the Machine Guns.
That's what I'm gonna say. I think you could make a play for Eddie, especially if he retires there. But they're all around the same age. So even if Motor City doesn't retire there, they're still such an integral part. Eric Young is the first ballot. EC3 is a first ballot, but he's so far away from retiring that I think you have to think of time as well. Rhino is on the roster. That could be a good one. But I'm going with Machine Guns. That's who I think will be first ballot, first one to end their reigns. Okay, we're good on time. We're close. We'll get through them real quick. Most likely to become Impact Champion who has not been champion yet.
Does Moose count?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. He hasn't held a single belt besides the Grand one, which means nothing. Most likely for me, it's Moose. I just think that's the next step for him. And there's no one really, unfortunately, in that heavyweight picture yet that I see that hasn't won it before. So we exclude Eric Young, we exclude EC3 if he's part of this. I think that's the right answer.
Yeah, maybe Anderson on the way down, a bit later on.
Anderson or Gallows, I could see both of those. Okay, so last 2 we'll squeeze in. First is most likely to start a band.
Okay.
Alex Shelley's the answer. For me.
Does it count who they have? Yeah. P.T. Williams, Chris Sabin, and Okada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Bay. No, Bay's more solo. So yeah, actually.
Okay, and last, this one's a little it's kind of hurtful, but you got most likely to become WWE champion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a doozy.
Honestly,
go.
See, no, I honestly can't pick because most of them haven't had good history with the WWE.
Have had history, yeah.
Yeah.
But you gotta remember, people have had history. Galloway, Mahal, people have left and been champion. So could we see that? You also have to remember what is Vince's, I don't want to say life expectancy, but as a chairman. Yeah. So could there be a Triple H who comes in and says, you know what? I like GC3. This guy could do, so maybe, something like that.
Jinder and Galloway route, I'm saying Heath.
You're gonna say Heath?
He's heading on that way. He's getting Jack first step.
Fair.
So, Heath.
Okay. I'm rolling through WWE champions. So they have to have age and time and size, and can't see them. I'm gonna go Moose. I don't think he leaves, and I don't think his history will stop him from leaving. I don't think that's the reason. I think he likes where he is, and I think he's, if not Eddie's Mr. Impact, Moose really is. So I'm going to go Moose, not by choice or want, but he has the size. He has the size. He has the gimmick together now. He can wrestle. I think he is a more marketable look, even though WWE doesn't have the best track record with promoting people of color.
But he's an ex-footballer, so that's a plus in his column.
So I'm going to go with him. But yeah,
That's
all right, that was fun. That was hard. Yeah, it would be heartbreaking for me too if he left. It's one of those things. I remember Max and I were filming our old podcast. We talked about every whatever. And literally on air, as we were taping, Eric Young and Bobby Roode both got released from Impact, asked for the release, and were granted the release. And that was the day I was like, oh, that's the last of the whole, the original foundation.
Yeah.
And even though we're building more people, Moose, Eddie, maybe even Sammy, to me, are the last of that regime that came in that said, these are going to be our guys. We'll keep adding supplemental people that go, but these are our core three or whatever. So up to debate, and that's what I like the show's about: debating and talking about different opinions, seeing other people's opinions. Thank you for being on the show, man. Totally cool to do this. I know we talked about what went down and what happens on weekly shows. So, but this is a different format, different idea. Good time. We'll have stay tuned because we'll have Emergence all together. What went down on this coming Thursday. So that'll be exciting. We'll talk about all of Emergence, our favorite matches, our least favorite, and so on. I think you can already know my least favorite segment from this episode. But yeah, so it'll be a good time there. And obviously stay tuned for an announcement regarding the draft. We're doing some changes to that. And it has to do with our contest that we've been alluding to, as well as the unboxing show, which will reveal all of that. So, Craig, unless you have something to say, we'll say goodbye.
Been fun. Glad to actually make my official debut on the podcast.
Yeah, official. Yeah, not just your voiceover. All right, guys. Yeah. You want to plug anything?
Nah, you know where we all are.
Yeah, like, subscribe. You know the deal. And once again, stay tuned for everything to come. So thank you guys. Spread the word. We enjoy you. Please respond. Keep responding, rather, to the tweets, because we will start featuring them more so on what went down, as well as the podcast we're on now. So have a good time. We'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoy the show. Bye.
Yeah, everyone.